Jesus! I cried out, looking at the tall, dark figure between my legs.
Again, still not Jesus. And frankly, I'm a little offended that you're continuing to call him that.
Barely illuminated. A shudder raced through me as he picked up the pace, pumping into my body with a rhythmic force that caused every limb to tingle.
Oh my God, my limbs!
Through the deep dizziness and overwhelming pleasure that clouded my mind, I tried to focus on the being that was taking my virginity.
No! Wrong!
No!
Wrong!
No.
No.
What are you? I trailed off before feeling another surge pass through my body, causing my midsection to arch and my toes to curl. While my partner had no mouth to respond with, I felt a sort of response through his touch against my skin. Images flashed through my mind. They were undecipherable at first, a grand puzzle of mixed colours and emotions, until finally the last spark unlocked everything. Oh God, exposition.
Fun fact, this is the same skill that Renesmee has in the new Twilight movie. Not sponsored by Twilight.
Oh my God.
I know. Oh my God, it's Renesmee! Which is still a
This
stupid
is why
name.
vampires and humans shouldn't procreate! This is what the Volturi knew all along! Slenderbone was a creature not of this world, and his origins I could not comprehend, because Breaking Dawn's a terrible book. But he made clear to me that his single, unifying purpose on this planet was to take the virginity of young women. The very story I had heard and chosen to ignore many times over.
Oh, my folly!
He's a superhero whose parents were killed by virginity? So he's sworn to destroy virginity wherever he finds it. Only young women's virginity, though. Young men can, just go fuck themselves.
Hey!
I would have pondered the flashes in my head for more had it not been for my current predicament. His cock burrowing itself inside of me.
Ah, that makes it sound like worms.
No. Oh, I panted, my whole body vibrating with each push of his groin as his manhood continued to stretch my inner walls.
I'm vibrating.
Time seemed to freeze as I briefly looked into the face of my partner, this being of sexual energy. In the darkness, I completely forgot about everything that was happening and simply stared to the dark ridges and contours of his face and structure. He had the bone formations for eyebrows, the ridge for a nose, although his face lacked any sort of hair or blemish. The area for his nostrils was sealed off completely, entirely smooth and devoid of any indentation. Voldemort. Likewise, he had not a single slit for his mouth, or a hint of lips, or that an opening existed. It was as if this was a man wearing a pair of pantyhose over his head, completely smoothing over his features.
Because that's what pantyhose do.
Only his skin tone was the same pale as the rest of his flesh, a faded grey with a bare hint of tan. He's been to the Costa del Sol recently. He towered over me, standing alike the trees that surrounded us, a tall, lanky figure. Then I looked down, past the tops of my heaving chest and crest of my stomach between my legs. I could not make out his maleness from this angle, but what I could see was his naked groin pushing deep between my thighs. Jesus! I screamed.
Stop it!
Flailing around at anything to grab onto. A branch, post, anything to support my body as an incredible pleasure speared through my core. Speared.
Ow.
My overwhelming anxiety had transformed into a deep frenzy of need for release. As the fire began to burn hotter than ever inside of my abdomen, the very act of being fucked by the supernatural creature seemed to last an eternity. Hours went by, it felt, even days with him pounding away inside of me. It had continued on for so long that I feared my head would no longer remember who I was.
That's an unhealthy side effect.
Then, as I stared into the full moon long away in the night sky, it finally happened. A sudden surge made my body convulse into the beginnings of orgasm. Well, that took a while.
Slenderbone knows what he's up to.
Oh my God! Oh shit! I cried out, writhing in the air, twisting and turning as my body exploded into mind-numbing climax. Juices seeped out of my snatch and onto the soil below. Slenderbone must have been close too, or maybe it was just a command of will, but he soon followed. I felt his seed shoot into the dark corners of my womanhood.
Slender babies!
Coating the inner walls with his warm release.
No.
Spurt after spurt erupted from his cock until I felt him soften and slip out of me.
Gross.
Jamie! I heard a noise far off in the distance. It sounded like the wind howling, rustling through the branches and leaves, which caused a racket of sounds. Then the footsteps on the earth caught my attention, the crunching of leaves and bushes of someone moving through the underbrush. Jamie! As my mind cleared from the peak of climax, I realized it to be a person's voice.
Wow.
Whether male or female, I could not tell. I looked down, seeing the ground well beneath my
Oh my
floating
God, please
form.
be Jennifer.
Then I turned, staring once more between my legs, or rather the absence where the being of my virgin desires stood not seconds before. Jamie! As if he had vanished completely, there was nothing but a definite absence between my thighs, a lingering space where the creature once stood. I could only feel the heat of his short presence, still surrounding my body in a comfortable warmth.
Is she still floating?
Jamie! I presume she is. Anyway, text break, your turn.
Yay. I woke to the dawn of a new day, and to the grinning smile of a person standing over me. My God, Jamie, did you get drunker last night or something? My eyes searched around, looking for the forest or the darkness of the night that seemed to be reality just moments before. Instead, all I saw was the familiar room of my dormitory, and the scantily clothed female figure of my roommate. I muttered, coughing and wiping the dried saliva from the corners of my mouth.
Sexy.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any idea what time it is? I looked to the window, seeing the bright sunlight through the cracked blinds. It must have been past lunchtime by now, well into the Sunday afternoon. What happened? Jennifer giggled. What do you mean? I left to go to church and came back and you were still asleep. I remember you being gone last night, and from the looks of things, you had one hell of a party. God.
Are they doing the it was all a dream thing?
I slumped into the pillows once more and stared up into the ceiling. I feel like I haven't slept at all. My girlfriend snorted. Well, I was hoping we could have some fun today. I looked over at her, twirling a lock of her hair. You know, like we usually do. She smiled. Yes, I often have my sex on the Sabbath. Though, strictly speaking, the Sabbath is Saturdays. Well, I was fond of the intimate encounters with my girlfriend, especially on a lonely weekend. There were other things on my mind at that moment. Crazy, unimaginable things of a dream or a twisted reality. I wasn't quite sure which. I'm not feeling it right now, babe, I said, to which my roommate sighed. I hadn't meant to ruin her appetite for sex at the moment, but I just wasn't feeling up to it. Maybe later, she giggled, showing a hint of her cleavage as she bent over. These babies can be all yours. Hey, she took no for an answer. High five. Then she was gone, off to study or hang out with her other friends. I was alone to my thoughts for the moment, reveling in the mystery of last night. Yes, let's revel in that, shall we?
Yeah.
Revel! As I got up from my tired slump, the door opened again, and Jennifer returned. This time, she had a box in her hands. Here's something. I think it's for you, she said, appearing puzzled by the blank nature of the box. It was left by the door. Oh, I gasped, taking the delivery from her hand. I forgot. Alexia wanted me to do some editing this weekend and got some of the movie cut from her. Not a lot of the weekend left to do much, don't you think? Jennifer laughed. Yeah, I sighed as the very mention of my friend's name brought up negative images to my head, specifically of last night.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to be friends with her again after that.
Will you still be friends with me?
I guess.
Yawning one last time, I got up and grabbed from my computer desk, grabbing a pair of scissors from a drawer. They take editing very literally.
Yeah, is she actually going to cut the bits of film and stick them together?
She's probably going to cut it open. Anyway, let's read. Pardon me. I also realized that my appearance had changed completely from when I remembered last. I was wearing a typical nightshirt and a pair of pajama pants like I normally wore to bed. I must have changed before going to sleep last night, but the memory of doing so simply wasn't there. Inside the box were a massive amount of filming tapes, all from Alexia's camcorder. Given the amount of footage we had shot, I expected there to be at least 10 or 15, but that number was a big underestimate.
Oh god, it's going to be Marble Hornets-esque footage, isn't it? It's going to be Slenderbone porn videos.
No! 50 I counted on the first search, even finding more buried down below after a more thorough count. How had she amassed so many? Each tape held a couple hours of footage, so the sheer amount of video in this box was astronomical. Way more than she held in the camera. After I started to take the tapes out, sorting them aside in an orderly fashion, I realized there was more than one type. Some had dates and locations written on the side from where we had filmed the day, and who was in the footage. Others were blank, except for a number, hastily written in black ink. How does she know how quickly the numbers were written? I must know.
They're scrawly. Or maybe she only had time to write half the numbers.
Maybe they just had... That's it. She could just have bad handwriting. As I set the movie tapes to the side, I left the other remnants in the box. Every one of them had a numerical indicator on the side, as if there was a certain order for them to be played.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Alexia had filmed extra footage to be in the first movie. It wouldn't be the first time she had done something without permission, such as changing an actress in between days and causing us to reshoot stuff.
Oh god, wait, is this actually the origin story for Marble Hornets?
But I couldn't comprehend her shooting this much by herself. Where did she find the time to produce all this? Regardless, if it didn't have to be about the movie, then she probably wouldn't have sent them all to me. Sighing heavily at the work ahead of me, I gathered the tapes, the dates, and set them near the computer, while the box of the rest of unidentified tapes I laid near the television. Can I just say, it just seems really weird to me that you have this weird, rape experience, and they're like, oh, well, back to business.
Back to editing!
After
She's probably put it aside to being a dream.
After putting on a modest pair of clothes.
As opposed to those slutty clothes.
I always wear slutty clothes on Sunday. You know. I set to work sorting on the mess of tapes in the box. Each one of them had a strange residue encrusted on the surface. No, please, no! Like they had been sitting for a while. Oh.
I still don't trust it.
As I fumbled with some of them in my hand some more, checking for scratches and other weird markings, they also started to emit a strange odor. It took me a moment to recognize the stench that came up from the objects, but as soon as it started to bring up memories from last night, I immediately connected it with one very specific being.
Jesus.
Definitely Jesus. I don't know how long I sat there, contemplating what to do next. The tape in my hands was the first one in the series, marked by a 1 on the side of the plastic. Finally gathering a formidable amount of courage, I hooked up the camera up to the television and pushed the first tape into the slot. Here goes nothing.
No, that's where it ends!
That's where it ends! That's the end! Gregor Daniels is an erotica author favoring fantastic fetishes, such as gender bending, transformations, growth, bimbos, date girls, and more.
Why are bimbos a fetish?
Want to read more? Search for Gregor Daniels on Amazon or follow the link to his author page.
I don't wanna.
So,
we'll save that for another day!
No, we won't. That just won't happen.
Or maybe not.
Oh, maybe not. Well, thank you, dear readers, for encouraging us to this wonderful piece of literature, which I truly enjoyed.
Yeah.
I really put a lot of vodka in that. So yes, this has been I Read Terrible Things, and we read a terrible thing, and we hate you all. Okay, we love you, really. Okay,